Okay, here's your first lesson. This is a guitar. That's a drum set. You're going to learn how to play this instrument, not that one. Guitar has a headstock. It's got tuning pegs. There are 6 of them for 6 different strings. You've got the nut, and you've got a fret. Now the fret, there are frets that go down the fingerboard. Each fret is a different note. The fret bar is the front of the fret, right? So if I ask you to play a note, and I ask you to play, let's say, the F, which is the first fret on this E string here, you would not take your finger and play it up at the back, and you would not take your finger and play it in the middle. You would take your finger and play it at the front of the fret. Let's see if I can show you where that is. I can't, there we go. You can see the fret right under, right? But my finger's a little bit behind it, right? So that you'll have a nice clean sound, and it won't be sharp or flat. Okay. I'll introduce you to the strings now. You have 2 E strings. One is the low E string, and then one is the high E string. An octave difference, right? Same note, but an octave difference. If you use your 5th fret for tuning the guitar, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the 5th fret. You take your finger and you got to slide it up to the front of the fret there, but not on the fret bar, just slightly behind it. If you pluck that string, that's the A note. The open string right below it is the A string. This is the A string. That's the E string. You have your finger on the 5th fret of the E string, and it's an A note. And if you pluck them together, it sounds like one note, but you're playing 2. If you go down to the next string, which is the A string, and you take your finger and you put it on the 5th fret, you have a D. And the open string below it is a D. So you can tune it up by making sure they sound like one string together. If they don't, then you use your tuning peg. As you take the tuning peg and move it in that direction, it'll get sharper. If you move the tuning peg towards you in this direction, it gets flatter. So if you have this note and it's not quite right, it sounds too sharp, you flatten it by turning the tuning peg that way towards you. If it sounds flat, you turn the tuning peg north to sharpen it. Okay, so now this is your D note on the A string in the 5th position, and there is your D open, and they sound the same. The next string down, which is your D string, put your finger on the 5th fret, and now you have a G. And if you play the open string below it, it will be a G. They sound like one note. Here's the difference with the next string. It's a little different than all the other strings that you tune. On the G string, instead of taking your finger and putting it on the 5th fret, take your finger and put it on the 4th fret. And you'll have a B. And if you play the string below it, that's the B string, right? And then when you want to tune up your high E string, go back to the 5th fret, put your finger right there, and hit that and hit the open E, and they will be the same. Now, the way I would like you to use your right hand is, I don't want you to use the pick. You might later on be interested in playing some lead guitar and you want to use a pick, right? But for right now, we are not going to use the pick. We'll use the pick some other day. We're going to use your fingers because you've got 5 picks there. And 5 is more than 1. But you won't use all 5 right now. You're going to use 2. I'm going to teach you the Travis style picking. Travis style picking requires the thumb and the index finger. When you get good at that, you'll use the thumb for the lower notes and pick the higher notes with that finger. So it'll sound a little like, right? Low, high, low, high, low, high. That's going to be an exercise down the road, maybe in a couple of weeks or so, when you start learning a chord or two. So for now, I want you to just play the E string. I want you to use these 2 fingers to pick up, well, down first, down with your thumb, up with this finger, index finger, so it'll sound like this. I want you to use a metronome if you can, but I want you to do it nice and steady so that each note is exactly the same amount of time. Don't want it to sound like, I don't want it to be like that. And I don't want you to go, don't pick it too hard. It's nice and easy. While you're doing this, do this for 5 minutes straight. It's a very simple move. Look at my thumb and my index finger. It's a simple move, but keeping it steady is important, and it's not as easy as it looks. Timing is essential. After 5 minutes of getting this comfortable, then I want you to start using your other hand, your left hand. You take that finger, and you're going to put it on the E string. You're only playing the E string now, but you're going to play the F, which is the 1st fret. So you take your finger, remember, don't put it at the back, put it at the front of the fret, and play that. And you don't have to play it this fast, you can go it like this. As long as they're nice and steady, it does not have to be fast. Matter of fact, don't play it fast. Play it nice and slow and steady and even. Then take the next finger and put it down on the next fret, which is the F sharp. Notice I did not pick up my 1st finger, right? If I pick the 1st finger up, it's going to sound the same. But you have 2 fingers down, guess what? You got more muscle. It's easier to play the 2nd fret when you got the 2 fingers down because you're using more of your hand. You don't have to rely on just the muscles around that index finger or the middle finger, which has another word for it, but we won't use it because we're going to keep this clean. Next fret is going to be the 3rd fret, and that's the G. Now watch what I do with my hand as I go for the G. Right? I went from here to there. It's a very small move, but the reason why you do that, because if I try to hit the G, I can do it, but I have to really stretch with this finger. And why should I want to stretch, right? If I go like this a little bit, much more comfortable. And I keep all 3 fingers down. The next one is going to be the G sharp. And I better move just slightly more with my hand so I can have a little more room here. Now with the pinky down, you're going to notice one thing. It's very difficult to have the pinky down and not touch the string below, but with the pinky down, what not going to play the string below. So you don't have to worry about hearing that. But I do want you to notice your other fingers. I want the pads are the tops of the fingers. I want the pads to be right on the string. That means you're slightly rounding the knuckle. I don't want the knuckles to be like that. I don't want them to be like that. I want them to be like this, right? So you're coming over the top, straight down on the string, not from the side, right? It'll be a much cleaner sound. It'll be easier for you to play, and it's the right technique, okay? So once you get here, I want you to go backwards. Let me do it slower. And then you play your open E. And then you're going to do it all again. You can do it again for, let's say, 15 minutes straight. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. And then for the week after, you're going to slide your hand up, A, right? A sharp. A sharp is also a B flat. So every note except for between the E and the F and the B and the C has a sharp and a flat, which I believe is called an enharmonic. So that means, and you probably know this from playing trumpet, that if you have a C, the next note is a C sharp. The note after that is a D. If you go backwards, the D becomes a D flat. So the D flat is the same as the C sharp. The note is the same. It's just the way you refer to it. Okay, so that's lesson number 1. And if you got any questions, just give me a call. Okay.